wants us to recycle. So I didn't realize
Just
that.
let me know what's ready.
And they're doing lives too. So
Live? Right.
yes, it was.
Good evening. How's everyone doing tonight? Yay! Yeah. So, I have to be better about this because I always give Elizabeth a hard time. But you do have to stand in front of this camera if you're going to speak tonight. Anybody? Well, welcome to the HD6 holiday party. My name is Sean Camacho. I'm captain of HD6B. Thank you very much. And I think it's coincidental every time we have this party, it's also Colorado Gives Day. So I would like to say, I did this last year, I'll do it again this year. We are so used to giving to candidates, giving our time, giving our energy, giving our money. But on Colorado Gives Day, it's not about that. It's about reaching out to some of those organizations in our community that are really making a difference. And today is one of those days that you can do that. So you have until midnight tonight to pick your favorite nonprofit or your favorite charity that you would like to help out. And keeping with the HD6 tradition, we do have Foster Source in the house tonight. They are our sponsored charity for the night. We'll have we'll have a presentation by them later on. But again, if you have not given Colorado Gives, consider giving to Foster Source. Consider giving to a nonprofit or a charity of your choice. But ultimately, just give, because that's what it's all about. You gave your time for the election. Now let's give our time for the community. And that's really what this is all about. I would be remiss if I didn't recognize everyone in the room, because we have a lot of people here tonight. So many that I actually had to write it on my phone as a list. So for our elected officials, we have Representative Woodrow. We have Representative-elect Epps. We have our Denver District Attorney, Beth McCann. Oh, there she is. All right, we also have some candidates in the house. Now, for candidates, so I get it. There's an election real soon, and it's really important to get out and talk to these House districts. But here in House District 6, we have a process. We have essentially a batting order. If you would like to speak at our meeting at a prolonged time and get onto the schedule, you're going to have to contact Andrew. Andrew is our HD6A co-captain. You can reach us at our HD6 email on the website. But if you want to speak in one of these meetings, just reach out. We'll get you on the schedule. We've been doing municipal candidate introductions for the last few months, so we're happy to accommodate as the election gets closer. So with that said, I'll just recognize the candidates I did see. And if I didn't see you, I apologize. But in no particular order, we have a candidate for City Auditor, Eric Clark. We have current House Rep, everyone's familiar with, Alex Valdez, and candidate for Mayor. We also have Penfield Tate, a candidate for City Council at Large. And then tonight, we do have two signed speakers. One is our City Council District 5 Councilwoman, Amanda Sawyer, who is not here right now, but she said she would be here by the end of the meeting. And her opponent, Mike Hughes. So, Mike, I think you're going to get a chance to speak, just not right now, but we'll call you up in just a second. But other than that, enjoy the food, enjoy the friendship, enjoy this community, because we have a lot to celebrate. We had a very successful election. House District 6 powered Denver's way, as always, and that's really a thank you to all of you. Your volunteer time, helping with texting, helping with postcards, helping with getting out, knocking those doors, finding those inaccessible buildings, and we cannot thank you enough. So this is a huge part of that, and I think I'm getting the hook here, so I'm going to pass this on to Kate.
It was a perfect segue. So I'm Kate Sneed, captain for 6A. And as Sean was saying, we had an incredibly successful GOTV and election from House District 6 perspective. Mark is going to actually go over some numbers, but we, made quite a plea there at the end for some fundraising and some efforts to really increase our ability to do GOTV. So I just wanted to give everyone an update on that. We were able to donate $2,000 to Lisa Cutter's campaign, and she successfully won her campaign for Senate. So that was huge, and she was incredibly grateful for our contribution to her campaign. We mailed 6,302 sample ballots directly to people's mailboxes in inaccessible buildings. We texted 12,000 unaffiliated voters who were leaning D in House District 6. We also texted an additional 8,000 registered Democrats between the ages of 18 and 45. There were 317 views on the electronic version of the sample ballot. So 316 people viewed the electronic version. And then thanks to all of your hard work within the neighborhoods and precincts, we hand delivered over 7,000 sample ballots across both 6A and 6B. So that was the funds that you all helped us raise there at the end, and then that was the efforts, and thank you to so many who stepped up and really helped texting or dropping off sample ballots. We actually are very short on precinct organizers in both 6A and 6B, and it was we were very concerned about our ability to actually get things done without precinct organizers, and it was amazing to have so many of you step up and take on an extra precinct and extra neighborhoods and help us out. So thank you so much for all of that. Couple of other announcements. Rachel Fisher, not related to Andrew, who has been our finance chair, had to step down. She took a new job and is lobbying for the Boat Association, which I'm sure she is very busy preparing for the legislative session, but there was a conflict between her job and her volunteering, and so she had to step down. So she says thank you and well wishes to everyone. With that, I am not going. Andrew's going to go over reorganization a little bit here in a second, but I am not going to be able to rerun for this Captain 6A position in February as well. I have been traveling so much for work. I just don't have the ability to commit and be here on a monthly basis, and so I am going to be stepping down. And I think, do you want me to hand it off to you, or? So I didn't want to, we have one more meeting in January. I'm hoping to be here, but as of right now, I'm scheduled to be in Arizona. So unless my work schedule changes, I will not be here in January, and just wanted to thank you all for your support and your help. It was a busy year. 2 years? I don't know, the time is gone. I don't even have any recollection of it anymore. But Andrew's going to talk a little bit about reorg and kind of the stuff that's coming up in 2023, which is scary to say, but it's here.
So Kate has taken it's not that new anymore, but a new job with Comcast and has been working to secure rural broadband grants. That's why she's been traveling, and she's recently had a big success in New Mexico, $18 million for that. So round of applause for that. My name is Andrew Fisher. I'm currently the HD6A co-captain. As Kate alluded to, DPOD will be having a reorganization in early February. The date is February 4th. It's going to be all day in person, and based on the last time Mark spoke, I understand that it's going to be either at South High School or at George Washington, but we're still waiting for DPS to let us know. Is that still the current status? Great. If you are interested in running for any of the HD6 leadership positions that are elected, so that is HD6A captain and co-captain, HD6B captain and co-captain, please start thinking about that now. If you have not been involved before, you don't feel like you know what the positions are all about, please come talk to us. We're happy to fill you in. Also, we have some HD6 leadership positions that are not elected, they're appointed. Those are our 2 finance chairs, and we'll be bugging you about those again, I'm sure, in the near future. At this point, I do want to give people an opportunity to just stand up and introduce themselves. If they're thinking about running for those positions, we'll do the same thing in January, just so that people can see who is interested in standing for election. And on that note, Matt?
Hi everybody, my name is Matt Paul, and I'll be running for HD6A co-captain.
I used to be a teacher. There are 3 other positions that are also elected. I'm the chair of House District 6. Sally Ann Offner is the vice chair, and Adrian Jared is our secretary treasurer. There's no money, but he's the secretary treasurer. And those 3 things are up, and I'm not running for chair, so that's open.
Thank you. Karen?
I am going to run for re-election for HD6B co-chair. But if you are interested, everybody that wants to run, you should run. Don't Sean.
I have given not too much thought to this because I've been so focused on the election and this party and doing stuff, but I do anticipate running again to be HD6B captain.
And so Matt announced he's running for HD6A co-captain, which is my current position. Since Kate is stepping down, I do plan on running for HD6A captain.
Hi, I'm James Reyes. I'm the vice chair of the party. I've been working side by side with Mark for the last 2 years, and I'm running for chair of the party to succeed Mark.
All right, and on that note, Mark, you were mentioned. Would you like to make some DPOD announcements?
What do I have to do? I have to look.
You just have to. No, you just have to stand right about here.
Hello, everybody on camera.
Hey everybody, welcome to HD6, my home base. I love you all. It's the best house district. Oh God, Jeff Withers is somewhere from HD9. He's gonna go, wait, I thought we were the best. No, we have great house districts. First of all, does anybody have a current update on Georgia? Warnock was pretty far ahead, but then the last I saw it got really tight.
76% recorded, and right now it's 50-50.
Oh, shit. You gotta be kidding.
Okay, so if it's 50-50, the only possible good hope is that Atlanta and Fulton County are usually the last ones that turn in their vote, and that's heavily Democrat. And if I am up all night again, waiting to see what happens, I sure as hell don't want to have Herschel Walker in our Senate representing us. He's incredibly incompetent. Anyway, talking about elections, we had an unbelievably successful election in Colorado on November 8th. So let's hear it for Colorado. the fact that Lauren Boebert is going to a recount and will most likely win the recount because you're not going to make up 551 votes. But the fact that she was favored to win that district by 12% says something for the state of Colorado and Adam Frisch. And so, having been in a meeting the other day with the state party, we are clearly going after CD3 in 2 years, or actually next year, because we no longer feel like it's unwinnable. So I may be moving to Montrose just so I can vote there. Anyway, the election couldn't have gone better except for Boebert. It was very close between Yadira Caraveo and Barbara Kirkmeyer, but Yadira pulled it out by 2,000 votes, and we are now going to have a 5-3 edge in Colorado in Congress. Denver, amazing. When I was at Denver elections, actually a week ago today, to do canvass and sign off on the election, it's one of the things that the Denver Democrats have to send somebody down and the Denver Republicans send somebody down there. And it's an all-day process, and you go through everything. And when we looked at the numbers, 81% of votes in Denver went to Democrats. That's unheard of. I mean, it's incredible. So thank you, Denver, for keeping Colorado blue. You know, I've said this for 6 years. As Denver goes, so goes the state. And we proved it again this year, and we're going to prove it again in 2024 when we keep the presidency. Don't know who that will be, but we'll see. Anyway, the other great news for those of you who follow the state legislature, where is Elizabeth?
146, I'm right here.
You know, we were ahead 41-24 in the state house. We were hoping it would stay the same. Maybe we'd lose a seat or two. Maybe we'd pick up a seat. We picked up 5 seats. Wow. It's going to be 46-19 for the Democrats. That is a super majority, and and the state Senate, which we were worried about possibly losing. We picked up 2 seats there. We have a 23-12 advantage in the Senate. Again, unheard of. So Colorado spoke, and if you're a Democrat, you couldn't be happier. If you're a Republican, sorry. Yeah, really. Wyoming's looking for you. Probably should have moved there to help Liz Cheney, but anyway. All right, that's all I'm going to say about the election. Other than I gave, at each table, I put out some election recap sheets for House District 6. HD6 Democrat turnout was 77.45%. That is really good in a midterm. You guys were beat by House District 2, which was 81%. But every 2 years we have a battle with House District 2, House District 6, and House District 8. Although I think this year 9 may have snuck into 3rd place. But congratulations to everybody. Great job. I also gave you the breakdown of all the precinct Dem turnout. I do want to give an acknowledgement to the top 3 precincts. First place, I've now lost their precinct on here, but it was Helga Schmidt and Roger Sherman. So they did an amazing job. I think they were at 88 point something %.
Yes, 88.6.
Second place, Gail, what's your precinct?
613.
613 came in second place. Gail Marcus and Leo Boyle. We inherited Gail from House District 8 from redistricting, so their loss is our gain. Too bad, so sad. And then third place was, I think it's 612. 6:20 or 6:18, something like that. Susan Rogers, who is our rules chair and is currently in Mexico, driving around somewhere. And Charlie Walton. Is Charlie here? Anyway, thank you to those 3 top precincts. Everybody did a great job, and that's why we win in Denver. So, good work, everybody. For those of you who like to party every night, I think there's a song, Party All the Time. So our DPOD holiday party is next Monday night at the Skylark Lounge at 140 South Broadway. There are invitations over at the entrance table. If you want to come, you need to RSVP, and you need to RSVP by Thursday. After Thursday, we're not accepting more RSVPs. When I originally booked the Skylark, I said, we'll probably have 50 to 75 people. We're now over 100 RSVPs, although I think half of them are candidates, but no, I'm just kidding. We actually haven't heard from that many candidates. Anyway, we hope you will be able to join us. If you RSVP, just let me know what food you're bringing. Please don't bring a dessert. I have 47 desserts signed up already, so for those of you who like sugar, it's your night. So hopefully we're going to see a lot of you there. I did talk to Skylark's manager today, and he said you can have up to 150 people without us getting in trouble. So, but we are going to cut off RCPs on Thursday. Andrew mentioned reorg. It's coming in less than 2 months. February 4th is reorg. Does everybody know what reorg is? Okay. Reorg happens, well, it's supposed to happen every 2 years. It happened earlier this year because of redistricting, but usually reorg happens in the odd number of years. And at reorg is when we elect county officers, House district officers, sub-district officers, and Senate district officers. So if you are wanting to run for any of those positions, you should come on January 17th, right here in this room, to our executive committee meeting / job fair. We're going to be talking about all the different positions that are available. We'll be giving you information. And then at February 4th, hopefully at South High, I'm waiting to get confirmation, is when we will have the whole meeting. We'll be in the auditorium, we'll elect our county officers, and then we'll break up into House districts, sub-districts, and Senate districts. And that's when you will elect all your people. I don't think it's a big surprise, especially since James already announced that he's running for chair. But damn, I was thinking about changing my mind. Not. I've been doing this for basically 6 years, and I'm tired. I'm not running. And I made that official on November 15th, I think, at our executive committee meeting. I'm not dropping out of sight. I'm still going to be involved. It just depends on what James wants from me. I'm not giving up Century Club because I love doing that, and I'd like to take on a bigger role and run fundraising and continue with Denver elections. But I am done being the chair as of February 4th, and I can't wait to actually have a life. You will no longer have a life. James is running for chair. So far, nobody else has told me they're at all interested in running for chair, but there's still time for any of you to announce. You can also run for first vice chair, second vice chair, which is a new position, treasurer, and secretary. So there are 5 positions we'll be voting on for people.
I'd like to say something.
Yes, dear.
I just would like everybody here to give Mark a big hand. Yes. Big thank you.
I knew if I gave Olga $5, she'd say something nice. Oh wait, did I give that to you, Stu? Thank you, I appreciate that. I think that's all I have. I want to, yes, Janine?
Why not just pull back?
Oh, what is it right now?
50.4 to 49.6.
Let's keep in mind the biggest county in the bill, left over of the big Democratic counties, so I wouldn't be too worried about it, so.
Well, you may not be worried, but I'll be up all night
81% reporting, but we don't know which county.
until they get to
County
99.9.
is only reported 55%.
Yeah, the columns is the same way, so we're fine.
So, you know, the joke in the last 2 months, I don't know how many knew this, but Kamala Harris's husband, Doug Emhoff, was here about a month and a half ago. And I went to a private, I don't know, a party, lunch, I don't know what it was, at somebody's house in Park Hill. And he was there to speak to everybody. And we were talking, and he said, I am praying to God that we get a 51st Senate seat. And he said, I'm being totally selfish, but the reason I want that is I'm so tired of my wife getting called in the middle of the night to get dressed and get down to the Capitol to break a 50-50 tie. So hopefully Doug Emhoff will be very happy tonight. Anyway, I want to wish all of you a very happy holiday, whatever you celebrate. Please stay safe, and after tonight, we won't bother you with election stuff. We do have the city election, but we stay out of that.
But we have all the candidates come here.
Yeah, they can do that. But we don't endorse citywide candidates. You can endorse yourselves.
But we cannot do it from this district.
Right. So if you are a co-captain, you cannot endorse a citywide candidate and use your title. You can certainly endorse somebody privately, but you cannot go somewhere and say, hey, I want you to vote for candidate number 21 for mayor, because there's 22. But you can do that privately, just not with your title. And since you asked for who's running for anything, I have been asked by a bunch of people to run for
Mayor.
Yeah, mayor. I thought I'd wait on that till we got a number 23, and then I could be 24 and end the 2 dozen. I don't know, CL's looking at me like, what? No, I'm going to run for Senate District 31 chair. I hope to God that it will be an easy job, but we'll see if we have to have a vacancy. Anyway, thank you, everybody. It's great to see you. And who am I turning this over to? Back to Andrew.
All right, we only have one quick legislative update tonight, and it is from Representative-elect Epps.
I am Representative-elect Elizabeth Epps, and I'm going to stand in front of the camera. We have not seen each other in this setting since, because we didn't have November, so not since the election. Thank you. Thank you. I am so proud of us and excited, and just so like you can feel extra good, Steve Hedlund knows this, the way that HD6 turned out, right? More folks voted for me, and similar with Woodrow, voted for him and voted for a couple of our colleagues, but really I was second in the state. Then entire Senate districts voted, period, for all votes cast. So that's how you turned out, right? So your AG, your Secretary of State, your Treasurer, they owe HD6. Legislative update. What it means in a practical way, y'all, 46, I told you when I was running that one of the reasons I was running was to give my colleagues an opportunity to vote their values, the things I'd heard them say they wanted to do. That opportunity has changed. We weren't even dreaming big enough, right? So the things, I I met with our district attorney. She is not stressed by the things I'm talking about running. Sorry to speak for you, but we have an even bigger opportunity. This is a big deal. So a specific, those hard things we talked about, guns and otherwise, 13, a cushion of 13, whole lot of folks have cover. This is a wonderful opportunity. We're not going to squander it. Where we are right now, by way of update, incumbents have already had to submit their bill titles. We get how many bills? Thank you, Republicans, many years ago for making sure that that was the case. New legislators, we have until the 13th. We don't have our committee assignments yet, so literally where we are in the process is in a holding pattern, waiting to see where our speaker assigns us. Once we know that, I'll be able to tell you for real what I'm running, but my titles are submitted, and looking to do more work. And 46, I'm just so proud of Colorado. 46, 23, these are, you get it, right? But it means there's no more excuses, right? Right, if you have an issue with my vote, you hold me accountable for my vote, but I can't tell you we couldn't get it done because we just have the numbers. So thank you for the opportunity. I'm super excited, can't wait to come back and tell you, hopefully, that I'm on the Judiciary Committee, but if I'm not, the world will not have fallen apart.
All right, and with that, I am excited to introduce what I will call our marquee event of the night. We have the two candidates for City Council District 5. They are first the incumbent.
Can you let me talk for just a second? Sure. All right, we are going to have a January meeting. It is the second Tuesday because we don't want to do it on the 3rd of January. And if you would like to bring food, if you would just sign up here, we would love it. Thank you.
That's an ugly sweater.
We will have the ugly sweater contest. We have not forgotten about that. We have 3 Lowry Beer Garden gift cards to give out to the 3 winners. With that, City Council District 5, the incumbent is Amanda Sawyer. She will be here later in the meeting. She's would you like to go now? Later? Would you like me to go? Sure. We invited Amanda and her challenger, Michael Hughes, to come introduce themselves. We gave them 10 minutes, and if there is any extra time, we will take audience questions. So please welcome Councilmember Amanda Sawyer.
Thank you. Hi. It's so good to see you all. I'm not in HD6 anymore. I got redistricted out. I'm south of 6th Avenue, so I miss you guys. I haven't been to one of your meetings in a really long time. And I always loved this meeting because the sweaters, the fashion, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for having me. I'm pretty sure that I know almost all of you, but for those of you who I haven't had a chance to formally meet, Amanda Sawyer, I represent Denver City Council District 5. Which will be changing. So we had, in redistricting, we had to grow. And there were only 2 directions we could grow because District 5 goes all the way to the Aurora border. And that was either north or west, and we ended up growing west. So District 5 will now include the Cherry Creek and Country Club neighborhoods. Yeah, which is interesting. It's gonna be kind of a new dynamic, but really excited to be, taking on a new challenge. So, as many of you know, when I ran the first time I ran, because I kept hearing from people, I don't feel like I'm being heard. I don't feel like I'm being represented. And so I have worked very, very hard over the last 3.5 years to do a lot of community outreach to engage areas of our community that haven't previously been engaged and address some of the challenges that you all care about. And I know that you care about them because you tell me. So every year we send a survey from my office. Hopefully you received our postcard. It's open until December 31st. So if you haven't had an opportunity to fill out our annual resident survey, please do that by December 31st. That is how we know what you care about. And I can tell you that it's very interesting. It's sort of the same 3 things every year: traffic, crime, and development. I will tell you this year, homelessness is overtaking development as one of the concerns. So the next question I know you're gonna ask me is, what are you doing about it? right? So over the last few years, I've worked very, very hard to try and address those issues. I work very closely with our police department, particularly in District 3 to the south of 6th Avenue. We have a new police commander there. He's fantastic. And you know, the District 3 Police Department is really the gold standard in community outreach. So we're really lucky to have them on our team. And then to the north of 6th Avenue, the District 2 Police Department, I also work very, very closely with their commander. This year, I am very, very proud to say we took almost 1,000 guns off the street. I personally took almost 1,000 weapons off of the street. So I created right, I've got to stay in my lane. So I created a gun buyback program with a nonprofit organization out of Colorado Springs called Raw Tools. And what they do is they actually run drive-through gun buyback events where we took each weapon, accepted them in, it's anonymous, and then because of state law that requires a background check when there's a transfer of a weapon, we actually have saws right there. And we saw the weapons in the 3 locations where the ATF requires, so they're no longer a weapon. And then Raw Tools melts them down and turns them into garden tools, which is, yeah, it's pretty cool. They're a pretty amazing organization, I have to say.
Where do you get one of these garden tools?
So you can go to rawtools.org and get one of the garden tools. It's pretty cool, I have to say. It's been an extraordinary experience, but more important than the number of weapons, and I will tell you, 57% of those weapons were either semi-automatic or classified as an assault weapon. 51 of them were assault rifles. Yeah, which is extraordinary. But more important than just the number of weapons that we took in is the harm reduction that we provided the community. So it was a space where volunteers could come, and we had a number of volunteers who had lost children to gun violence, who came and donated their time to do this. We had a number of attendees who had turned in weapons that their loved ones had taken their own lives with, and things like that. It was extraordinary. So we did 8 events this year, and it was incredible. We're working on doing it again next year, and I will tell you, we partnered with the city of Aurora to do it, and also with the Denver Broncos. And the Broncos actually won the 2022 ESPY Award for Sports Humanitarian of the Year for all of their work in the community, including our gun buyback programs. So really, really proud of that. And look forward to our state representatives really working on the issue of weapons in our community as we move forward into this year. So how are we working on crime? That's one of the big ways this year. How are we working on traffic? So my office hired our own traffic engineering firm to actually go out to the community, and we've done this on 3 streets. We've done this on 8th Avenue, we've done it on 6th Avenue, and we've done it on Dayton Street between Alameda and Mississippi over on the eastern border of Denver. To look at traffic patterns, to hear from our community members where you see traffic challenges and what that looks like. And then through a series of community meetings and survey and outreach, we actually gathered this information, gathered the data itself, and then our traffic engineering firm actually drew up traffic calming measures to provide to our Department of Transportation and Infrastructure. So we did all the work for them. All they have to do is build it. And then we have a commitment from them that over the next few years they'll be building out those traffic calming measures. We're going to continue to do this because when you call 311 and you report something like this, Dottie looks at the specific location. And I think that we need to look at our street corridors holistically and on a much broader scale so that we can really look at those traffic patterns and learn the challenges that our residents are facing. And so really, really excited about that. And by the way, have you seen the new stoplight at Alameda and South Newport? Yes, so excited. It took us 3 years to get that in place, but it is finally in. It is finally working. There will be another one that is designed next year that will be installed at Alameda and Forest. So yeah, and then it should be constructed in the 2 years after that. There's 3 phases to stoplights. It takes forever. It's dumb. I know. It very much matters who you choose as your next mayor. It will not be me. I'm not running for mayor. I have no skin in that game. But think about it, truly, like think about those kinds of things when you are looking at mayoral candidates come through here. So let's talk about homelessness. It is a challenge, and I have been on record very vocally, and I know you guys can boo me, it's okay. We have a camping ban. We should be enforcing it. The things that it has done to our businesses, to our quality of life is extremely frustrating, but we can't just do that, right? That's not okay. We need to be addressing the underlying issues and causes that are creating the challenges of homelessness in our community. And so that I have focused on as well. Today in committee, we had a wage theft ordinance that I wrote in conjunction with a number of stakeholders and a couple of other council members. We see wage theft in our city at extraordinary levels. And that means people aren't getting paid for the work that they have already done. And that leads to homelessness because that means people cannot pay their bills, they cannot pay their rent, and those kinds of challenges are extremely frustrating. How else have we looked at attacking the challenges of homelessness? We need more mental health beds. We have only 100 in our city, so we've worked really hard at identifying ways we can add more mental health and substance misuse recovery beds in our city. I have looked at a number of different things, including, so just work with the courts. We did a 1-month pilot in November for an eviction court, and in 2 weeks we served 73 unique households in the city of Denver to be able to send them to mediation to stop their eviction. So we've done a number of different things like that I've been really, really focused on, because I think the key is we've got to stop homelessness upstream before it even starts. So those are the kinds of things that I have been addressing. I've got some literature here that tells you a little bit about what I've been doing, and I am happy to answer any questions you've got. Thank you again for having me. It's so good to see you guys. I've got a question. Yes, Mark?
Are they ever going to widen Quebec from 13th to 20th?
No. The Polis administration has made it clear that it is not on their priority list to widen streets of any kind anymore. And so we have to look at ways where we can move more people in the same amount of space that we have as our city continues to grow. That's why bus rapid transit along East Colfax is so important, as long as we are also addressing the challenges that come with 13th, 14th, 16th, and 17th, because the traffic will move to those streets in addition. So hopefully that answers your question a little bit. Yep.
Like Dayton, between Mississippi and Alameda,
Mm-hmm.
I think that the biggest problem is parking, because there's so many vehicles on that street. And coming here tonight, I came on 8, and I was thinking, since all of this new stuff where the hospital used to be, parking on 8 is getting to be like the one on Dayton. And so I'm wondering if there's any coordination in traffic abatement with planning.
Yes.
So that, when you give a permission to have a 3-bedroom apartment with 1 parking place, I know it's not that, but to me they don't require builders to put enough parking spaces so people are on our streets.
Yeah, so the question for those who didn't hear was added density and parking and the street safety challenges we see. How does that all go together was basically the question. And the answer is that it absolutely does. And this is why we hired the traffic engineering firm to look at where parking goes, what the sight lines are around those cars, so you don't have to pull out into the middle of the street in order to see to make a left or a right, which is incredibly dangerous, and we see so many accidents as a result of that. Yes, so those are the challenges we're trying to address. Thanks for the question.
All right, one last question.
Last question, yeah.
We voted on some new things in this last election, and one of them is money for sidewalks. I know there are a lot of issues around, you know, who's gonna pay for what and how's that all gonna work out. It's an ordinance that you guys can, you know, look at how to implement it. I know you've done some work on sidewalks in the past. So I'm wondering how that's gonna, you know, work out, you know, with the new ordinances. 'Cause
Yeah.
we vote on slogans. Now you guys gotta worry about the details.
That's right. So great question. For those of you who didn't hear, what about the sidewalk initiative and what are we going to do about that? So great question. That was a citizen initiated ordinance. And so now that it has been voted on by the voters, we cannot touch it for 6 months. So in the next 6 months, the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure will look at exactly what it says and how it says it and what that means moving forward. And then if there are tweaks that need to be made or changes that need to be made or a program that needs to be put in place, et cetera. I know, for example, one of the things that the proponents really wanted to do was have that amount of money sort of spoken for so that we could bond against it to build sidewalks faster within the city, something we are considering. But there's no changes that we can make to it within the first 6 months. After that is when we'll be taking a look at it. But great question. All right, I am done. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, and I assume you'll be here for a few more minutes, so if you have any questions for Councilmember Sawyer, please approach her afterwards. Quick interlude, Abe just showed me, if you know Dave Wasserman, if you follow him on Twitter, he works for Cook Political Report and NBC News. He has confirmed that Senator Warnock has been reelected. So, good news. And with that, please give another round of applause to Michael Hughes, who's our other District 5 City Council candidate.
Thank you all. My name is Mike Hughes, and I want to start just with a very quick bio. I know that I know a few of you, but for some of you, I'm a new face, a new name. So just a quick bio. I am a Colorado native, born in Colorado Springs. Came to Denver to go to the University of Denver, and that was some while ago. And a little travel after that, including getting a master's degree in city planning at the University of Pennsylvania, and then coming back here to take up residence in Denver in the mid-'80s. But that's not the, I had to do that part of the bio, so you know who I am. But here's something I hope will be more important to you in my bio. I got very interested in how government works or fails to work during Watergate, and sort of became obsessed with Judge Sirica and Archibald Cox and the hearings, the Watergate hearings. And so my first foray into electoral politics was as a teenager, knocking on doors and distributing campaign literature in Gary Hart's first Senate race in 1974. So I have been a Democrat since Watergate, though I didn't register at 14, but registered as soon as I could, and continued to do work on Democratic campaigns. Served as a precinct officer in my precinct most recently in 2020. And was redistricted into District 2, so I missed 6, but 2's been good to me, and is a great place to be. And knocked on doors for Hillary Clinton and for Michael Johnson's gubernatorial campaign. So I've been out there and in the trenches and working as a Democratic volunteer for a couple of decades. So the thing I want to talk about last in terms of just biography is what I've been doing for the last 30 years that leads me to now make this choice. I have been mediating public policy disputes of one kind or another in nonprofit organizations and then in my own company, which I started in 2012. So we're at the 10-year mark. Mediating public policy disputes. I've had the good fortune of a wonderful career in that field, and now what I want is the opportunity to ask for your vote which is something that is extraordinarily precious and something that I take very seriously. With all that door knocking, you learn just how important it is to participate in elections, how important democracy is. I watched, as you all did on January 6th, to see just how fragile it is as well. And what I'm looking to do, what I'm asking for your vote for, is the opportunity to take the work that I've been doing for 3 decades in conflict resolution, consensus building, public engagement, stakeholder engagement on public policy issues, hard ones, and to see if that can't be best done from a seat on city council. So I am deeply committed to democratic principles and to full engagement of the voters and the people of Denver in the government that is supposed to serve them. And so we need to be able to see our fingerprints on the laws and ordinances and rules and changes that happen out of City Hall. My commitment as a peacemaker and someone in conflict resolution is to work with the new mayor, whoever he or she might be, and there are many to choose from, so we will see how all that works out. But to work with the new mayor and with all of council to bring peaceful resolution to the difficult issues that face us, and there are many. I have always been attracted to the toughest ones I could get my hands on, and Denver has a few. My own primary interest, though I will be a very deep listener and will want to work very carefully to make sure that the District 5 representative is reflecting that deep democracy and the full participation of the electorate and of all of the people in 5. But personally, my primary interest is in housing. There's a recent study that came out of Washington, D.C. They've been able to reduce homelessness significantly, and a series of academics dove in to see what was making the difference, and it was one thing over everything else: more housing. Isn't that amazing? We need more housing. I have been the beneficiary of an extraordinary rise in housing prices. I'm old enough to be on the downside of my mortgage. It's almost done, and the value is ridiculous. And I'm receiving that windfall, or my heirs will. But it's very difficult for people who work for a living to live here. And so I am hearing people say, well, I moved here from San Francisco and this is worse. Or I think I'm gonna have to leave because I can't afford to stay here, to buy a house, to raise the family in the place I wanna raise them. And so we may have to leave here. And so for me, housing supply is at the top of my list. But not just anywhere, and not just everywhere. Thanks. So I have been doing work as the executive director of the West Corridor Transportation Management Association. It's a little nonprofit. We are trying to help create multimodal transportation options that go with new development. So for me, it isn't just more housing, it's where that housing can go that can also preserve the neighborhoods that we love and the places that we have moved into that we cherish. So I am a believer that we can do both, that we can have strong and extraordinary neighborhoods that we love and cherish, and they can be what we moved in for, and we can house the people who need housing, your grandchildren and their children and the generations to come who need a place to live and want to live here and don't want to have to move somewhere else. So I am for both neighborhood preservation and more housing, and I think what we have to do is locate housing where we can provide adequate transportation. I've been on the RTD Reimagined task force, and so we have to make all of that work together. So that's the primary issue that motivated me to get started in all of this. But in a deeper sense, what really brings me to this moment and to asking for your vote is the belief I have in how important that vote is, how much we cherish it. And so I'm happy to answer questions. And I have lots of materials back there, a card that I would love to have you pick up and send me an email or jump on my calendar, and I'll come see you.
Do we have any questions for Mike?
I actually have one. I don't know if you,
Do you need the microphone?
I don't know if city council can do anything about it, but there are places in Denver where people that live in apartments have to, there's one close to where I live, close to Windsor Gardens, where they have to park on the whole street. And they park up the whole street, and I mean, it's ridiculous. And because their apartment owner, like, either charges them for apartments or for rent, the parking spaces, or they don't have enough, shouldn't our city do something about that? I mean, I don't think it's good. I think it's not good.
Yeah, I think our city should do something about it. And Steve and I were talking about this earlier, and that now the developer is charging for, or the building operator is charging for parking. And so what that does is it makes people then park somewhere else. So you don't pay for the parking space, you then park on the street or in someone else's neighborhood and all the rest. And so to work with that landowner and with the neighborhood to find a solution that fits in that place. And the solutions are varied. In a place like Cherry Creek, which is now part of District 5, you have neighborhood parking permits. So probably not in this circumstance, but there are ways to work with the landowner and the residents to find ways to make sure that people park in places that are intended for parking and that they can afford. And so I am a problem solver and would dig in and would meet all of the constituents, including that building operator, to figure out just what's possible so that they are not pushing people to park in places that don't make any sense for parking.
Thank you. I can just project. I agree with you that we need more housing, and I would just be curious to hear you talk a little bit more about potential policy solutions at the city level to do that.
Great. So one of the things that I think is significantly problematic, I was talking to a landowner who is going to have to go through some city processes to get some housing built, and he said to me, "I'll see you in a year after I've gotten through community planning and development." So I think there is a great opportunity for regulatory reform inside community planning and development, because one of the other things I hear is that the buildings that people look at that got built in the last administration, they go, well, why is that here? That's ugly and it doesn't fit in my neighborhood, and why did that happen? So it takes a year to get through planning, and then you get a building you don't like. That doesn't make any sense. And so I think there's a huge opportunity for regulatory reform that would make housing less expensive and let us build it in the right place and in the right way faster. And I think there's a real opportunity to do that in CPD.
So for equity purposes, if anyone has one more question, that's it. Anybody? Going once? Going twice? One question, all right. Do you need...
We've been talking a lot about cars. What's your feeling on bike lanes versus two lanes, multi-transport?
Yeah, so the Transportation Management Association that I serve as the executive director of, we do Winter Bike to Work Day, and I stand out there in 7 degrees trying to encourage people to bike, though that's a little much in Winter Bike to Work Day. But I run Bike to Work Day in the West Corridor and work with all the local jurisdictions in the area where we work to add more bike lanes and to really create a multimodal system. The one that I want most in District 5 is CDOT just put up a new light at Leetsdale, Colorado, Bayard, which prevented some serious traffic accidents because people were running into each other with that free right-hand turn from Leetsdale. So a good thing. Yes. It's on top of the bike lane. And Bayard is a major bike lane in the city's bike plan. So that shouldn't have happened. I'd like to see them fix that. The Garfield neighborhood bike lane that goes from the Cherry Creek Trail all the way to City Park is amazing. We need 100 times that.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, thanks.
And now we have reached the pinnacle of our presentation tonight in our holiday party. Again, if I haven't mentioned, today is Colorado Gives Day, and in the spirit of giving, we have invited a nonprofit that is doing some great work in the Denver metro area, and here to present, I think it's you, Renee, and Jody.
Like 45 minutes, right?
Jody and I usually bring our tap shoes, and we forgot tonight. Well, we're thrilled to be here. Thank you so much for having us. Thank you to Sean for inviting us. I'm Renee Bernhard. I'm the founder and the executive director of Foster Source. My husband and I were foster parents in Colorado and Adams County for 3 years. We fostered 10 kids. We adopted 1. We had no plans to adopt. The goal of foster care is always to reunify with parents. Sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't. When we closed our home, we formed Foster Source to provide things that we feel like would have made us better foster parents and would have helped us foster longer. The reality is 10 kids are entering foster care every day in Colorado, and half of our foster parents are quitting in the first year. Another 25% are quitting in year 2. I can tell you they're not quitting because of the kids. And that's what Jody and I are going to talk to you a little bit about tonight.
So my name is Jody. I am a kinship parent from Denver County. And thank you. Thank you for asking. Kinship means that maybe mom and dad need some help right now. So grandma, aunt, uncle, cousin, friend of the family, somebody with who that family and that child is already associated with, step in instead of traditional foster care. So I am a kinship parent, as I said. The case lasted 5 years.
In Denver.
In Denver, yes. And I started working for Foster Source last August. I have 6 children and decided to, go back to school because that seems to make sense when you have 6 children. But I became so passionate about our very, very broken child welfare system when I had the front row seat of seeing the realities of it. So I started as an intern, and in January was hired to expand our services to include non-certified kin. So there's another weird word. Non-certified kin means that they do not get the payment that foster parents receive. So basically, when family is taking in their children, the resources are not meeting their needs. So we have expanded our services effective January 2022 to include kinship families and provide very needed resources for these families. So, and we are just getting started.
Yeah, so we serve statewide in Colorado. We serve foster parents, kinship, certified kin, and non-certified kin. We do a variety of things. We do a lot of education. Parenting a child from trauma looks very different than neurotypical parenting. Love is not enough. What presents as behavior is not actually behavior. It's a child trying to process his or her trauma. You have to approach it differently. So we do a lot of education. We do a lot of implicit bias training. We do a lot of LGBTQ training. We teach foster parents to check their privilege at the door. We do a lot of hard goods, bunk beds because you have to have a certain number of square feet between each bed. Foster parents are being asked to take more and more children. When we don't have room in our homes this way, we go this way. It used to be up to 8 children in your home. Now it's 10. And of course, when we pull kids, we pull all of the kids, and we want to keep them all together. We do a lot of weighted items. A lot of kids in care have sensory needs. And one program that we're really, really proud of is we are the only agency nationwide that pays for therapy for the kin and foster parent. There is so much secondary trauma and compassion fatigue that comes with trauma parenting. And like I said earlier, the goal is to reunify. That's the goal. But when the goal is reunification, sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't. When it does, even if it's great and you want that, it is like a death when that child leaves your home. So we started therapy for foster and kinship parents at the beginning of the pandemic because Adams County called us and said, we have a single foster mom. We have tons of single foster parents, by the way, and she's about to disrupt, which means she's about to call the county and say, come and get them. She had a sibling group of 2 that has never been able to be placed together and tell her. And they said, we cannot lose her. She's a fantastic foster parent, and we have nowhere for those kids to go. I said, fine. Let's have her. I called a friend of mine who's a therapist. Would you see her for a couple of sessions? Yes. We stabilized that placement the light bulb went off. In the meantime, we have over 300 caregivers statewide getting regular mental health therapy. And by the way, Cynthia, she has adopted those 2 kids in the meantime. This is working. The focus on strengthening the whole family for the sake of the child is working. There are so many agencies focused on the child, which is fantastic. Of course, they're the center of this. But we don't need teddy bears. We don't need toys. We need stable, healthy families. And that's what happens when you pour into the caregiver. I want Jody to tell you just a little bit more about kinship care because it's making a big difference.
Yes, so now that you know the language of kinship care and non-certified kinship, what that means, we know that children do best when they are placed with their families or people that they know. So there's no dispute of that fact. Years and years of research show that that's true. There are several pieces of legislation from the federal down to the state, down to the county saying prioritize placing children with kin. What is not happening is that, like I said earlier, kin are not being met with those resources. So I know that I'm in a room full of people that actually care when I say that housing is an issue, being able to pay your bills is an issue. For these kin who are stepping up to the plate saying, we will do it, think of the 55 and plus year old grandparents who are living in a 55 plus community. Who's not allowed there? Kids. They're having to move in this market so that they can take care of their grandchildren. They're now living in hotels, homeless with their grandchildren. So we said that we're not okay with that. Research also shows the damage that it does to kids when the caregiver is not in a healthy place because of finances or not getting the social supports or the mental health supports. And so we're saying we will do it. We will be those people, that organization that steps in to make sure that children, when they are placed with kin, the family unit has the support that they desperately need. It is an uphill battle.
Yes.
It is very much an uphill battle, but one that we're very committed to.
Recollect is running a bill about strengthening families. 9 out of 10 requests we get from foster parents are covered under our current programming. I was a foster parent. I have a good idea of what we were lacking, and it turns out, and research shows that that is what foster parents were looking for. This is a different ballgame with kin. The Family First Prevention Services Act that I'm sure you're all aware of, this is different. Like Jody said, what we're seeing on the daily is single grandma on disability getting 6 kids dropped at her door and calling us and saying, I have 4 months of back utility bills and I'm gonna be evicted in 2 weeks. That's what's not happening. Right now, 50% of our funding is going towards Denver families. We serve statewide. This is a child welfare crisis if we don't start wrapping around these families, because what's going to happen? These children are all going to circle back and enter traditional foster care. So we've now traumatized them again, right? Because each time they move, we re-traumatize them. Like Sean said, today's Colorado Gives Day. We would love your support. You are looking at the 2 employees of Foster Source. Okay, we formed it 6 years ago. Year 1, our budget was $7,000. Next year, it's just over $1 million. Wow. It's grown so quickly because the need is so severe. We rely heavily on our internship program with Metro and CSU for their social work students, for example. But we struggle sometimes with funding. We don't fit into a lot of typical funders' categories. When they say education, they don't mean trauma education for parents. And our services don't go directly to the child. Our services go through the caregiver. So that leaves us out of a lot of traditional funding avenues. So we would love your support tonight. We do offer the Colorado Child Care Contribution Tax Credit. So your donation of $500, for example, will cost you $250 because you'll get $250 back in a tax credit on your state taxes. Thank you again to Jean for having us. It's a big deal for us. We can talk about child welfare all day. We hope we've planted the seed to think about foster care. Would you just talk a little bit about just one more fact I want you guys to know for every kinship care case?
Yeah. So where we're headed next?
How do people give?
What's that?
How do people give?
How do people give?
Oh, so the postcards are on your table, fostersource.org/donate. Or if you want to do Colorado Gives, you can see coloradogives.org/donate/fostersource. But it's on the card.
It's also on the card.
Yeah. For every...
Yes. So where we are headed next at Foster Source is we've got the non-certified kin, which I've already told you what they are. The next level is called informal kin or grand families, meaning child welfare is not involved, and most families want to keep it that way. But for every one child being raised by a relative within the child welfare system, there are 19 more families outside the child welfare system raising their kin. And their services are even less. They're not there. So we are on mission to change that at Foster Source. Yeah.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
What a great presentation. So, with that, bottom line is give till it hurts, and then give a little bit more, because it's going to a really good cause. It's going to kids in this community, kids in this metro district, and it's going to directly help these families. So there's that. And before we close, I'll pass it on to Andrew.
Okay, ugly sweater contest. We had a secret judge. It was Elizabeth. She has been watching you this entire time and picking her top 3, though she wanted me to clarify that, that we did not have a whole lot of ugly sweaters. So these are more festive holiday sweater awards. The 3 winners who should come up and retrieve their Lowry Beer Garden gift cards after the meeting are Kathleen Gegner, Catherine Wilson, and Ann Farrell. A round of applause. All right, 30 seconds. James has a final announcement. Thank you all for coming and for celebrating and for all of your efforts this entire year. We really appreciate you.
All right, real quick. Mark already mentioned this, but I want to reiterate it. We have our job fair / open house right here in this location on January 17th. This is something I'm really excited about. We're going to create a flyer, email that out to everybody here. Please forward this on to people you think would like to get involved or could get involved in the party. This is an opportunity for us to expand our bench, get more people involved in the party. So please keep an eye out for that. January 17th, right here for that open house. Thank you.
Open house
For the party.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for coming. Have a great December, and we will see you in January. Please help us put away the tables and the chairs once you're finished.